In this video, we're going to talk about all the problems of the Osmo Pocket 3. I'm filming on it right now, so I don't actually have it in my hand. But after creating content with this camera for a while, I've noticed that there are a few things that people are commenting on my videos that they do or they don't like about this camera. And I thought I would just bring them up here and give my opinion on them so that you have more information if you're looking to buy this camera or if you already have it and you're just interested anyway. So the first thing I'm getting with this camera is the record button also acting as a delete button as well. If you're not familiar with this feature, if you're recording a talking head segment or whatever and you decide that you don't like that take, you can just press the record button and hold it for 30 seconds and it will delete that clip. Maybe it's a little bit less than that, but it's a significant amount of time that you would see on the screen that it is deleting a clip. Now, many people were talking about this feature and saying it's the worst feature ever. You could accidentally delete a really important clip, and some people are saying that they have and that it sucks and it's made the Osmo Pocket 3 worse. Well, first of all, you can go in the settings and you can turn this feature off. And second of all, I really don't think it's that big of a deal unless you're literally not looking at the screen and you're accidentally holding the record button the whole time. And in which case you probably would have just stopped recording the clip anyway. So I really don't see that it's a big deal. The second issue or point of contention is this plastic case. I think it's a bit of an odd thing. I mean, you can clip the microphone to it and you can kind of like lay the camera in it in reverse and use it as a handle. It's definitely well built, but one of the things I noticed and I pointed out in a short is the fact that when you put this thing in the case and you put it in your bag or your pocket or whatever, especially with the little extension on the bottom of the camera, it can tend to rock the top of the camera out of the case, allowing the gimbal head to spin around and expose the lens, which makes it of course vulnerable to scratching. Some people are like, yeah, it's so annoying and I'm really worried that I'm going to scratch the lens of my Osmo Pocket 3. And some people are like, you're being absolutely ridiculous. But for me, I found it was a real problem. The amount of times I took this out of my bag or out of my pocket and I saw the lens exposed and thought, I'm so glad that I don't keep keys or coins or whatever in my bag, has been quite a lot of times actually. So I think it's a point that's worth paying attention to. Another point on the case, a lot of people were talking about some of the early models. The screen somehow gets caught on this thing and has really messed it up and damaged it. I have one of the earliest production models. I literally got this before it was even released. I never had any issues with my screen. I'm not flicking it back and forth aggressively. I'm taking care of the thing. When it comes to durability and stuff, lots of people in the comments have mentioned that they use it without this plastic case that comes with it, and they've just used it like freely without any case or protection, and that it's actually well made and quite rugged. I think the gimbal is actually made out of metal. I think there is some merit to that. The less you stress over the camera and the less you are spending your energy paying attention to it being all perfect, the more time potentially you are spending using the camera and creating. I find that we can get so precious with the stuff we don't even use it half the time. So I think there is some merit to actually not even using any of the case and just making sure that you aren't throwing the camera with anything sharp in it anyway. But that was a point that got brought up, worth speaking about. A lot of people have mentioned in the comments that there are also a lot of different third-party cases that fully encapsulate and cover the camera. I think this is actually a pretty solid case, so I'm fine with it. It also has some little magnetic pieces inside for some of your lenses if you get the wide-angle lens or the black mist filter or any polarizers from third-party, etc. What else have people been complaining about? Oh yeah, overheating. That's another issue that I've actually come across as well. Spending some time in Costa Rica and filming some of these talking head segments in 4K D-Log-M, I noticed that this camera actually gets really, really hot. Now, that's nothing unique to the Osmo Pocket 3. I have Canon cameras that also get really, really, really hot when filming 4K, even 4K 30. So that's not super unique, but I did notice after filming like a 10-minute talking head segment in Costa Rica, I noticed this thing got significantly hot. So worth paying attention to as well. It never turned itself off or anything, and it never created any crazy warnings for me saying that it's gonna melt down or anything. So I think it's quite a minor thing. I'm sure it affects the battery life in some way. My battery life did seem shorter there, but you're gonna get that in these extreme environments anyway. So we're gonna switch to the iPhone now for convenience. Talking about getting hot and the length of the battery life, this thing does not have a replaceable battery if you don't count the one that comes with the creator kit. you cannot remove the battery out of this, and therefore you cannot replace it. So I've been using this for a long time and the battery is still pretty good, but I do wonder in a few years, once this thing has been used a lot, what am I going to do? Is this just a disposable product then? I've seen some fix-it videos where you can remove the battery, but I think it requires some serious disassembly with this thing, and there are no clear screws or there's no clear way of taking this thing apart, which is kind of annoying. And the other thing is the real estate that notifications take up on the screen. So for instance, when you connect your microphone or when the gimbal reaches the end of its limit, a notification comes up on the screen blocking the notification that shows you that you're recording and some other information on the screen, which can be really annoying, and you have to kind of tap your way out of it, and sometimes it doesn't even exit. So that is another thing that's quite frustrating about this camera. Another minor issue with this thing is if you're using any lens filters, then potentially the gimbal doesn't close in upon itself. I think there are only a few brands that have a really thin lens filter where the filter will tuck inside of the gimbal whenever it closes up, but most of them, the camera detects that there's a filter on it and it spins the gimbal around the opposite way and it just tucks it in facing downwards in the case. And I actually found that that's actually a more secure way of having it in the case, and that way the lens doesn't get exposed to the elements and anything that's in your bag, like I'd mentioned before. What other issues have I had? That's about it really. I mean, aside from the lack of multiple focal lengths, which kind of you do still have with the wide angle lens that's in here, and the new 2x crop on the 4K sensor, which is supposed to be lossless, that got released in the latest firmware update, this camera is pretty damn perfect. I think it's an incredible tool. I'm able to more and more film some of these talking head segments for my YouTube channel. I don't really have too many complaints about this Osmo Pocket 3. I think that it is definitely going to stand the test of time for still at least 2 years, unless they release the Osmo Pocket Pro, which I've made a video about what my vision of that is. I'll link it kind of up here, and I'll also put it in the description down below. You have to check that out because it's quite crazy. Anyway, if you like this video, leave a comment down below. Is there anything that you found with your Osmo Pocket 3 that you don't like, the annoying things that you do like? I would love to read those, and I'm sure it would be helpful to other people as well. I'll see you guys in the next one.